So I'm here to take your incoming fire about the roadmap. It'll be fun. So again, like the vision for what we do at Nylas is that we want to provide the communication layer so you guys can do what you want to do inside of your apps, whether it's a sales app, whether it's a CRM app, whether it's sales acceleration, HR, whatever. Like you know your customers, you know what they want, and you know what your competitive set looks like. And you know the email, calendar, context part of that, it's table stakes at this point, as Gleb said. Like everyone wants that functionality. It's core to having a personalized experience for any of your users. They expect that now. It used to be cool. Now it's table stakes. And we want to provide that for you so you can focus on what makes you and your customers happy. So again, you know, to go over kind of like how Nylas works, right? You guys build your applications on the top. That relies on all the stuff that we provide to you, whether it's the API endpoints, the webhooks that we provide, the sync that we do against the mailboxes, those services, analytics that we've built out to help you identify what's going on. We've got all the security, compliance, reliability, performance that you need, so that way you don't have to worry about doing this yourself. If that part of the code goes bad, like it's real painful. And that's what we really focus on, and we give you access to all of these providers with a single endpoint for all of that. So it's really important that you understand that. Hey, for our perspective, dealing with Exchange is very different than dealing with IMAP versus dealing with Google, but we try to obfuscate that, try to make that as consistent, so you only have to think about it once. You're integrating email functionality, you're integrating calendar functionality, you're integrating contacts functionality into your app, and you don't care what kind of email system your customers are running. You don't care what calendars are running. You don't need to worry about that. You just need the functionality. And that way you're not building the same thing in parallel 2, 3, 4 different times based on the protocol and what's going on. So why do people build with us? Right? We're the only people that give you 100% coverage. So 2.7, 3.5, I don't know how many billion email addresses there are in the world, but we give you all of them with a single set of endpoints. It's maintenance free. We try to have a stable API where we do things very nicely. We don't break it. As we add additional features, they're additive, they're not instead of. And one of the things that's really important is that if Google changes something, if Microsoft changes something in the ActiveSync code, we stay up to date for you so you don't have to worry about all of that. And the analytics to drive business decisions, obviously the webhooks are a big part of that. So you can have triggers, you can do sums, you can do counts, things like that. And then the benefits, the folks here know that. You reduce your costs on the outside, and you accelerate your time to market. And you're able to build other things that make you differentiated without having to do this huge table stakes functionality and have dedicated engineering resources and dedicated engineering time to all that stuff. We want to do that for you. So, we have big numbers. We've saved over 200 years of dev time on things that suck. We've saved companies $25 million worth of dev expense. And we've helped lift revenue for our companies by a huge number. So here's a case study of Velocify. They just got acquired because they used our APIs. That's kind of how it works. And it's really easy, right? The point is to meet customer requests, to have a reason for tiering, to go from hey, we've got a silver tier to a gold tier, and the value of that is the Nylas APIs. And again, they ripped out, they built in-house and ripped it out. We see that all the time. They reallocated all engineers from doing this email calendar stuff to actual business value stuff. And they actually increased their customer LTV because they were able to increase prices by integrating our functionality into their app. So let's go over what we've done in 2017 so far. We've added tracking. It's new functionality that Halo talked about. You can track message opens. You can track link clicks. You can track replies. There are webhooks for all of these things, so you can create workflows. You can create cadences. You can do all sorts of things that are a little bit more sophisticated when you have these multiple day touch point sorts of things. We've added additional native authentication methods, and we continue to do that to make it easier for your customers to have the OAuth flows that they're accustomed to and want to see. We've added email notifications and additional endpoints for the webhooks. So if a webhook goes bad, you don't have to go and see it in the code. We'll send you an email. Hey, this is bad. As Evan talked about, we've done 2 to 5x improvements in our API response times. Our P90 is now actually 400 milliseconds, so we've went over that 500 millisecond target for the non-proxy targets that we talked about. We have the new dashboard that Halo talked about, which is awesome. The old dashboard was one developer has one app, and people are sharing credentials, and it's terrible because customer service could delete your app accidentally. And now we have a nice dashboard. We have multiple apps, and you can have development, staging, prod, like normal, and not have to share credentials, and customer success and sales engineering can like onboard new people real easy. It's awesome. And we've moved to post-paid billing because we know that's been difficult for people to understand how we did billing in the past with this weird hybrid model. Now it's very clear. We were doing stuff with that account over the last month, then we charge you. If we weren't, then we don't. And we do have a changelog that's available, and it's linked from our new dashboard, so you can always go on there and see what's going on. So let's talk about the fun stuff. How we prioritize, and then what the roadmap is. I believe this is the first time we've ever publicly committed to like actually future things. I'm really excited. So this is how we think about like what we decide to build next. Obviously, number one is customer requests. You tell us what you need. We listen to you. We are hiring developer success people to make customer success tickets get resolved faster. We are building things to make the API faster. We're building additional functionality, all thanks to like what you said you wanted. One of the things we ask you a lot about is, hey, how are you using the APIs? And if we hear that people are like building the same workarounds or building the same workflow tools on top of our APIs, we want to make that easier for you. Infrastructure needs, we've scaled a lot. We know that our customers tend to grow with us. So we want to make sure that anything we do is not just available, but reliable as well. And then hard technical problems. We have an engineering culture here that we really enjoy working on hard stuff. And so we wrangle the RFCs, we wrangle CalDAV and CardDAV and do all that stuff because we enjoy those as difficult technical problems. And it's how we're able to recruit and retain folks. We're really focused on those things. So these are the 4 things that go into how we prioritize. So here's our product roadmap. Coming by the end of this month, we will have full context access, full CRUD, create, read, update, and delete for context for your Gmail and Exchange. We know this kind of completes the mailbox for folks. We've had email, we've had calendar. We've had some limited stuff with contacts in the past. We're going full-blown. So the address book that your customers have, especially your salespeople, your HR folks, anyone that need to sync their full contact book with your app, we will enable that for you. What's coming up in the near term is we're going to make it easier for you to restart an account, to resync an account from the Nylas dashboard. One of the things that happens is, credentials get messed up, users change things, Exchange decides to be wonky, and the best way to resolve that is actually just to kickstart the connection. Right now, we have to do that for you. We're going to make it so you can do it yourself. We know this is going to be a huge, huge, huge win for those accounts that go bad. We're going to have enhanced Nylas IDs. So one of the things we've learned is that our Nylas IDs are not technically unique and reliable. And so people have built like wrappers around our IDs. We're going to have what we're calling stable, canonical Nylas IDs that you can use to reference anything in your app. That'll make your code a lot easier to build and to maintain the apps in your code. Bulk retrieval, send us one thing, and we'll send you many things back. So if I need to get multiple threads in a single call, you won't have that HTTPS overhead of asking for email 1, email 2, email 3 in separate requests. You'll be able to do it in a single request, and we'll return that all to you at once. And then we'll extend the CRUD on contacts to iCloud for your Apple iCloud accounts. In the medium term, we want to give you more granular access as to what's going on and give your customers more granular access. So rather than just tracking opens and link clicks and whatever, we want to do it on a per recipient basis. So if you're sending messages to multiple people on the same thing, you want to know if Sally opened it or Margaret opened it, we'll be able to tell you that. We'll give you free busy availability, so that way it's easier for people to schedule other people's calendars. And we're going to update our Ruby and Node.js SDKs to be up to date with all this new functionality. We've already released the Python SDK, so that is completely up to date. We're going to update our Novi and Node ones to catch up. Then long term, we want to help you guys sell better. So one of the things there is what's called service accounts. So right now, each individual email account has to authorize against the Nylas APIs, which is fine, it's more secure, but sometimes you sell to a large enterprise, say Procter & Gamble, and rather than having 30,000, 40,000 salespeople at Procter & Gamble individually authenticate, their admin on their Exchange server can do that on behalf of everyone. And then we want to extend our webhooks to have full message contents, calendar events, and contacts. So right now, we send you, these are here, we'll give you the actual stuff that's inside those messages. And you can rely on that for your triggers. Our general strategy goes from just the data to really giving you actionable recommendations. So we want to start, right now we've got the email calendar and contact stuff done. We want to help you access other parts of business communications. That can be messaging, that's like Slack, OLARC, Intercom Drift, voice, advertising perhaps, other parts of communications data where you're trying to tie things and touch points together. We want to help you analyze all of that, see like how emails relate to phone calls, relate to ads that you're running on Facebook. And we want to help you make recommendations to your customers based on that data. Really do that value-added stuff so they can sell better, close more candidates, go home earlier because they're not doing as much gut work. Enable like the business processes at your customers. That's it. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about what we've shipped and what we plan on shipping soon.
For the, you had in there that the medium term was the Ruby and Node SDKs.
Mm-hmm.
Is that for the function?
It's going to be, we're going to bring it up to date and maintain it up to date. Okay. So what we kind of do is we push to the API first, and then we like backfill with the SDKs. And we're going to do a better job of keeping those. When we release something on the API that you can get with a curl request, the SDK will be updated at the same time. We have a process in place with that for Python now. We know that we've been laggards on that. We know that we haven't been as good as we should be, and we're gonna do that. The gating item on there, honestly, is finding folks who can do that for us. We are a Python shop here. We're really good at recruiting Python engineers. We're not so great at recruiting Ruby and JavaScript engineers yet. We're working on it, and we're backfilling with them. Yeah, engineers everywhere are tough to find, right? So that's why I don't want to commit to like more than medium term, but it's like it is coming, I promise, and we will be good about it.